This is planning for business growth, enabling and developing employees, and finding solutions and challenges faced in planning and execution. These are the three main lines what we had in mind. Yeah. And the value proposition is obviously timely, effective, and affordable. Affordable means, in the sense, you timely and effective is within a 2-hour span of a Zoom call, we are able to offer solutions for a limited range. I wouldn't say if I have to rebuild the whole strategy of a company, we may not be able to do it. But we take small bites. Very often, Ram, me, and Anush, we say that we are the short haul flights and we are not the long haul ones. Yeah. So this is the founding team. That's me on top. Next, Ram Kumar and Anush, my second son, who's also running restaurants in Chennai. Dr. Bala once said, I'm going to visit your restaurant. I think next time when he comes to Chennai, he will come. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, Dr. Bala attended Anush's wedding reception also. It was so nice of him to come. So these are the three offerings we have. One is a business planning workshop we offer. It's basically 2 to 3 sessions we do, help companies do a business planning using various business tools. Next is the leadership development. So Ram and me are certified coaches. We help people in executive development and leadership development. And the third one is where we are doing a lot, which is the prime solutions. Solutions for specific business challenges. The first one, as I told you, is a business planning workshop. It's pretty, we take them through various frameworks and help them walk out after 2-3 sessions with a good business plan in their hand. And persevere to lead us, leadership coaching, team coaching, group coaching, all that we do. Yeah. Next is the prime solutions, where we solicit challenges from various companies, and they just fill up a small format. We ask them basically, the format asks for only 3 questions. One is, what's your issue? What have you done about it? And what do you want from us? So once we get this questionnaire filled, we identify the advisors. We have a bank of about 20-30 advisors who are outstanding, who are combined together, they have about 600 years of experience with them. So we identify the right advisor. We ask a lot of questions and then get into a Zoom call for about 2 hours and try and share action points to them at the end of the call. Yeah. Some challenges we have helped. I was telling Dr. Bala before we came in, it starts from, a doctor in Chennai who had, spent a lot of money renovating his clinic. He wanted to increase the walk-ins to his clinic. So, we helped him, looked at his social media presence, how we can do, help make his clinic more popular. And the one company came to increase their sales of epoxy resins. One company wanted to launch a consumer product in the Chennai market. And there was a software company. They were doing the business for quite some time. They didn't know how to grow. So it's various kinds of challenges. We have done close to about 25 consultations in the last 3 to 4 months. So then we have recently launched a new thing called the Expert Insights Program, where again, this is 1 or 2 sessions, it may be, most probably 1 session, where one of the advisors speaks about the expertise area of his for about 45 minutes. And then we take on question and answers and try and address 1 or 2 small problems what the company has. This just started now. We're going to start with many companies now. Yeah. So these are the areas where we are running this program: Expert Insights, Entry and Growth Strategy, New Look at R&D, Innovation, Supply Chain, Marketing for the New Normal, Managing with Lean Cost, Financing and Fundraising, managing money in tough times, etc. Go on. Discover the effective leadership. Again, there's a nice program which you have started, where we have our advisor, Mr. T.T. Srinath. He helps you, go on a discovery process in 2 sessions, understand what your real targets are and how to achieve them. It's a 1-to-1 session. And then markets for new products and services, business planning workshop, insights from successful startup journeys. I can speak on this, and Chand can talk on this, how we have developed businesses in large companies. Data-driven insights, we talk about, how business analytics can help companies use the data more effectively. Yeah. No, these are our distributors. These are our advisors. They're amazing, the kind of consultations we have, is really, eye-opening, and the clients are extremely happy because they've got tremendous experience in all the fields. Yeah. And on top of it, what we also do is on the 15th of every month, we hold a webinar like this where we have an eminent personality like Dr. Bala or one of the advisors come and talk on a subject. These are the webinars what we have kept, what we have done in the last 4 months. And also end of the month around the 30th, we also have what is called as a prime mentoring, which is we get one or two of our advisors to come and host the prime mentoring. And we invite people who have a lot of challenges and come and speak to these mentors. Both these programs are complementary, and we get a lot of the participation in this. Yeah. And this is the next month. This end of this month, we are having this one on Muthu is going to mentor on key financial metrics and relevance and limitations, and Virendra Sevak is going to talk about entry and growth strategy. So we welcome people to come and be with us for this mentoring sessions. Yeah. So again, we are so happy that Dr. Bala consented to be with us all the way from Chicago. So nice of you, Dr. Bala. But I just cannot stop with this small introduction. Ram is going to do a more elaborate introduction of Dr. Bala. But let me tell you, I think about 5-6 years back, there are two people who are responsible for making this webinar happen. One is Pratima, who works with Dr. Bala, and Professor Sridhar. I think they only helped me, and based on a lot of correspondence with Dr. Bala, he agreed to do this. About 5-6 years back, Professor Sridhar invited me to Great Lakes campus to come and talk to the students about my experience of launching this product and Mangaldeep. So when I went there, I asked him, is Dr. Bala going to be there? Yeah, he's going to be. I thought Dr. Bala will be a very busy person. He won't have time to listen to me. And I was, there were a full house, almost about 150, 200 students. And Dr. Bala was sitting there right in the front row, listening to the whole thing. And finally, summarizing my talk in such a lucid way that, in fact, I thought he spoke much better than me. Then, if I still remember, it was sometime in the month of May, sweltering heat of Chennai. And we finished this discussions around 11:30. Then when he heard me talk about Mangaldeep, Agarbatti, social work and all that, he said, you now have to see what Great Lakes is doing. You won't believe it. We got into a car and we drove for about 15-20 kilometers to a village which was adopted by Dr. Bala and Great Lakes. And he showed me the fantastic work he had done, how a library they had opened. So, Dr. Bala has got so, and I still remember he said he put on a cap because it was so hard and he gave me one. I'm still keeping that cap with me. So he's such a great man, and he's got so much of energy. We are all looking forward to hearing you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Bala. May I request Ram to introduce Dr. Bala formally?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Rajsekharan, and it's really a privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Bala Balachandran today, who actually really confirms to the cliche that he doesn't need any introduction because all of us know him. He's a world-renowned management guru. He's one of the best-known names in Indian and American management education landscape. He is the J.L. Kellogg Distinguished Professor, Emeritus in Service of Accounting and Information Management at Northwestern University, US. And he has served at Northwestern University as Distinguished Professor for almost 35 years, till he retired from there in 2008. He is the founder, chairman, and dean emeritus of Great Lakes Institute of Management, Chennai in India. He has more than 100 research publications, many books to his credit. His research interests focus on strategic probability through customer-centric business strategies. He has done a lot of groundbreaking work in the areas of accounting, forecasting, strategic decision support systems, and it has earned him a lot of scholastic honors, awards, and fellowships. He serves as a consultant and an advisor to the senior management of many companies, and not just companies and education institutions, but also countries. So he serves as, he's actually advising a lot of governments, so government of United States, India, and Malaysia. And many of us know Dr. Bala as actually a management education visionary. He has been at the helm of creating top-rated B schools and management programs in US, many countries like US, Israel, India, Thailand, Germany, Malaysia. He has been one of the key players in revamping management institution management education landscape in India since the early 90s. He was part of the team that recruited the first set of faculty members for IIM Bangalore in the late 60s. He was instrumental in designing the MBA program at MDI, Management Development Institute, Gurgaon, which was a collaborative effort between the Indian government, Kellogg School, and UNDP. He was part of the founding team of ISB, India School of Business at Hyderabad, from where I did my MBA 15 years back. So we hold him in very, very high regard. And he chaired the curriculum and dean search committees there at ISB. He very, very close to his heart, obviously, is Great Lakes of Institute of Management in Chennai. He set that up in 2004, and Great Lakes now has a presence in Gurgaon as well. We all know Great Lakes. It's his dream project of actually putting Chennai on the international management education map. He's a full-time faculty member in the area of accounting and finance. He also chairs the Academic Advisory Council at Great Lakes, apart from also serving as the dean and chairman of the school. And we all know how the school has grown from strength to strength and is already recognized as one of the top 10 B schools in the country. And the school has also, under his leadership, secured prestigious international accreditation such as AMBA, AMDSA, etc. Dr. Bala is a recipient of many, many awards and honors, and the list is almost endless. The government of India conferred on him, the Padma Shri Award in 2001, the year 2001, in recognition of his contribution towards higher education in India. He's advised many people. You can see some of his photos on the screen. He's also a recipient of many, many awards, some of which are the prestigious AIMA Cable Noria Award for Academic Leadership in Management Education for 2017, the Jeevan Gaurav Puraskar at the 3rd National Teachers Congress organized by MIT World Peace University in Jan 2019. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Bala Balachandran to kindly address us. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting to do this session for us. Over to you now, sir.
Thank you very much, both Raj and who recollected our trip to the village. Right now, we are even building all kinds of toilets without water and that kind of stuff. And actually, when the flood completely wiped out the irregular community house of about 40 homes, neither the Tamil Nadu government nor the central government helped them. Irregular community is the snake charmers, and I like them a lot. And they are immune to snake poison. And so we built that from the scratch, 40 more homes, all from the Balachandran Foundation, not from Great Lakes. And I'm very proud I come from a village, that is the reason. So we adopted about 27 villages, and now we are giving them even root canal treatment or heart surgery and whatnot. Anyway, I am very much thankful to the Business Clinic as an organization and the founders, especially Raj and Ram, and also the people who are assembled here. And I would like to make it as informal as possible. I will try to take about 45 minutes, the allotted time, and then open up for questions. The thing that I want to say is the following. I would like to close with my talk. Why every one of you, whether you are retired or not retired, a lot of people ask me, are you retired? I said, I am not even tired. So how can I be retired? So I have to be tired first. So we are at 84, not that I'm running 84, 83 completed. So therefore, I think the more and more you keep the brain active, your physical health is active, and you will not get any disease like dyslexia or Parkinson or anything else. So what I want to talk about is, as I said, the strategic performance with purpose. So I would like to make sure that all of you, regardless of an age, just like the Raj and Ram combined, created a company, each one of us should do a parallel processing with being an entrepreneur. And I would like to make two announcements. Even Raj is a very big mentor for AGBI, Atal Innovation Mission A, G for Great Lakes, B for Balachandran, I for Incubator. This is a very, only 1.5 years old, and among about 100 and odd incubators that the government of India gave close to 10 crore for a 5-year period at the rate of 2 crore per year, we were ranked number one, only 1.5 years old. Number one in the entire country. Well, they wanted to, how could it be possible? All it takes is experience, expertise, and a determination to excel. All of us have to raise our bandwidth more than what it is. I'm not sure whether how many of you know that the bandwidth of each one of us before 15 in terms of parallel processing, multitasking is much higher than what we have now. So we lost some of the bandwidth God gave us, which up to 15 years we had that. We can do a lot of things which probably even we will be wondering whether we can do it now with all the experience. So to make sure your bandwidth is much more. There are certain colors which we cannot see, certain sounds, decibels we cannot hear, but a dolphin can hear. Why not we improve that? We can improve that by constantly, intelligently working. Heart cannot be manipulated, but mind can be manipulated. The most powerful mind, powerful weapon that you have in your body is your mind or the brain. But that brain can go in the wrong direction or the right direction. If you put it on the right direction, you couldn't believe the results. So and that is why I thought of this purpose. You can do the performance, but also being a good citizen, honest, ethical, and a responsible citizen of India. I think we are going to do a lot of things. And you note that after my quintuple bypass surgery, where I paid for one and got 4 free, a fantastic business model, I started this Great Lakes Institution single-handedly, nobody else, in Saidapeta in a small building. But now I will be soon announcing that we are going to have a complete MOU and relationship with the University of Chicago Booth, which is already rated number 1 in the world. At one time, Kellogg was. Even now it is top 3. But the question is, these kind of institutions are now impressed with India. And the dean of that Booth school is another Madrasi by name Madhav Rajan. I will make sure that when he comes to Chennai, you will all be invited and you can meet him also. And the question is, when we people can be such a, whether it is Sundar Pichai or anybody else, when we can be this well, including Vijay Govindarajan from Tuck and Sinu Srinivasan at Stanford, who is my younger brother, why not we do things in India also? But probably sometimes if you go out to US and come back, I think you can have the best of both worlds, East and West. So let me say the following. Why this particular VUCA world and COVID is very important to us. I think COVID has actually disrupted our way of doing business. First time we can see with the Zoom and other technology, we are able to effectively communicate without losing our time. I call it as not time value of money, but money value of time. If you see, your time is most productively used only because of COVID. So I think this COVID is a COVID for me. I think this challenge can be converted into a great opportunity. A stumbling block can be converted into a stepping stone. And why not we take advantage of this? Previously, in the World War II, there was all kinds of men folks were all in the army. So first time in the history, the blue collar workforce was given to the ladies. Guess what? They outperformed the men. Similarly, Waterloo Bridge was built 98% by ladies because men were not available in England. And guess what? They finished it ahead of time and ahead of budget. Please, I saw only one person in your list. I think you should also have at least 10 people who are ladies who can completely, now the workforce as well as the leadership force is getting to be more and more female. And that's why we had Indra Nooyi and Kiran Majumdar Shah and Preeta Reddy I call it a swim, successful women in management. Take them and then make sure that we can do a phenomenal job for all genders, inclusive. So what I would like to do in the beginning is to give some points that we have to be aware of. And the first thing, and this particular sheets of transparencies will be available either through Ram or Raj, and Pratima will send it to you. So the current business environment is because of COVID, and especially in the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, has now changed into a PUCA world. Maybe you have not heard the word PUCA. What is PUCA? Platform for Unmanned Cargo Aircraft. Can you believe a Boeing 777 or 707 or whatever it is, 747, right? Completely taking off from New York or someplace and going to Shanghai without a pilot or no human being at all, like a huge drone, completely managed by people in the ground from their respective homes or in some little offices, and not much of real estate. And that particular cargo, it is exclusive for cargo. So therefore, they don't need to pressurize the cabin. The cost to serve that particular cargo is going to be cheaper than the ship which takes 20 days, whereas this takes 20 hours. Now imagine the time, money value of time, inventory carrying costs, all kinds of stuff. So the world is changing, not only Airbnb or Uber and other kinds of stuff. Things have completely changed, and you are going to see a tremendous amount of change. The life is, and for the first time, retired people may be used more effectively. So if you put a retired person and a young person, young knowing the technology, retired person knowing the thing, the kind of results that you are going to have is amazing. And that is why normally when we had the telephone like this, now with the smartphones, with all kinds of apps in that, you can control the whole world with your cell phone. I used to tease that there is going to be a day when the wristwatch is going to be having all the calculators and all the computing in your wristwatch, and that has come. And because the world and technology is changing. So when we were talking about customer excellence, customer delight, customer satisfaction, etc., demanding customers and global, but the cost was going up because of that. Whereas the new products and tremendous amount of competition, not only within India, but throughout the world because of this liberalization that has happened, the revenue is going down or the price is going down, even if you wait in the market share. So if you are talking about three lines, top line is, in my opinion, top line has become a vanity. People show a lot of revenue that go bankrupt. The middle line has become a calamity. Nobody knows what exactly what costs are. And therefore the bottom line has no sanity. Only reality is cash flows. That is what Birla accounting all about, Padda accounting. So let us focus more on cash flows. And therefore, how do you make to your consulting group or mentoring group or anybody else provide some kind of a value, which not necessarily in the book. And on top of it, now the whole world is changing to AIM Lab. AIM Lab means artificial intelligence for A, I for Internet of Things, ML for machine learning, the second A for algorithmic analytics, and B for blockchain. Now, if you technology combined with your expertise, you are having a tremendous amount of power. Every company is going to be a technology company, no matter what. If you ignore technology, you are dead. Similarly, every company is a service company. Even if it is a manufacturing company, unless you think about your customers and deliver it on time and be making them delighted. I use the word customer astonishment. Now, then you are going to lose the business. So therefore, you have to understand the previous experience and combine with the current technology, and then you have a formidable weapon. So let us talk about how do I make the cash flows more. Please go to the next transparency. Kalai, go to the next one. Kalai, yeah, good. Now let us talk about the following. Let us take a simple 3 lines, and I want to make one particular point. Uncertainties are inevitable, especially after COVID. After the COVID, you do not know what exactly I am positive at least 20 to 30% of the companies in India or anywhere in the world will collapse. And even if they are not collapsing, the human payroll system is going to decrease. At least 20% will be laid off. So now the question is, the top line, let us say revenue, influenced by both market share volume and the per unit selling price. That is subtracted to, from that you subtract costs. I want to split the cost into two types, variable cost and fixed cost. Let us take care of the fixed cost separately. I'm not going to cover that. Take the variable cost alone. What is variable cost? Any cost that is happening in your company or in your client company, which is linearly, proportionately vary with volume. So we can, though I put the product in the leftmost and topmost corner, you can replace it by a customer, replace by a client, replace by a division or a department. So let us assume that most profitable products in your company or most profitable customer, let me take customer, bundle of products. You give a product at a lower price, but give it to them later on with a higher price, or they have to buy certain other things. Now let us assume the following. There are two customers, C and D, who are the most important customer to your client company in this business clinic. All right, and let us assume 8 crores and 7 crores are the last quarter's revenue. I converted it into percentage to make a comparison. So 8 crore is 100%, 7 crores is 100%. I took just the variable cost, those costs including sales commission, materials, product, whatever it is. Not fixed costs, not depreciation, nothing, all the stuff. Let us say 6.4 and 6.3 crores, which is 80% or 90% respectively of the associated revenue. And that means the total contribution margin, not gross margin. Please note that I never brought the fixed cost in this equation. Revenue minus only variable cost. That is influenced by volume as a driver. How do you improve your volume? And that is the kind of a performance metric. You have to think volume and value. So 20%, 1.6 crores for the first one, and so 7 minus 6.3, 0.7 crore, which is 10% of that. That is the current thing when you took this case. You can do two things. One thing is you can look at somehow improve the market share customer base. Price is dictated by market forces. So let me keep the price for the moment out. So either I can increase my volume, market share, or the sales increase arbitrarily for 5% to compare, or I can decrease the variable cost by 5%, like customer centricity, or supply chain, or customer relationship, quick delivery, etc. Let us assume I increase by 5%. So you got the percentage. Obviously, the contribution margin increased by 5%. Let me not go to the detail. However, let us now note that you have two choices. Either increase the revenue or the market share, not the price, note that. And the price we can do later on, and that will improve actually. Or decrease the cost, all right? Now, of course, you can do both. We'll come back to that. So if I increase the price, increase the volume, I can increase the contribution margin, and then the fixed costs have to be taken care of, then you get the profit. All right, so that is a fundamental performance metric, total contribution margin. That increases by 5%. Now, suppose I decrease the fixed cost, not the fixed cost, decrease the variable cost by outsourcing, offshoring, whatever device. Let us use the word cost management. Revenues are same. I don't allow any of my customer to defect, like a defective. The customer will say defection rate. I am not allowing, and I'm not also taking a new customer. But I am able to tighten, and to improve the velocity, I improve the efficiency, effectiveness, everything, and therefore the cost reduces. All right, by 5%, let us say. Look at what happens to the contribution margin. 24% and 14.5% are the same thing. The revenue is still 8 crore and 7 crore, but the variable cost decreased by your cost management techniques. There are so many methods. So look at that. So by decreasing the cost, you get either 20% increase or 45% increase as a bottom line as compared to 5%. So everybody thought cost reduction, re-engineering, cost management. But that is true if and only if your variable cost for that customer or that product or that division or that segment of the business is having a variable cost more than 50%. If it is less than 50%, that's not true. I want you to know this. So if the variable costs are more than 50% of the associated revenue, then the cost management dominates. So you focus on the middle line and then improve the top line. Suppose, go to the next one, Kalai. Suppose you go to the case where a customer who was probably 6.5 crores last quarter, now he's doing more business with you. And it so happens, like an IT product, the variable costs are less than 50%. Let us say 40%. So 7.5 crore. And so B dominated D. So I put them, these are the top two bread and butter kind of customers. All right. So 60% contribution margin. Now, if I increase the revenue or the market share by 5%, both sales revenue and the variable cost increases and the contribution margin increases by 5%. Nothing spectacular or new. However, if I reduce the variable cost by 5%, then 40 becomes 38 and 60 becomes 62. Your increase is only 3.3%. You have the same time, same company, same variable, same customers, same suppliers. How do I do better now, given everything else is constant? Now focus on revenue management. But 5% is better than 3.3%. Previously, 20% was better than 5%. Now 3.3 is a lesser number. So if the variable costs are less than 50% of the associated revenue, focus on revenue management. So it is not a one size fits all. It's a two different policies. Do I focus on the top line? Do I focus on the middle line? All right. So I am saying in any of your clinic, you do that and you are going to get spectacular results without changing the number of people, number of customers, same company, etc. But you are differently managing. So performance with a purpose. So revenue management. All right. Now, of course, you can do both. But all I am saying, what do I do first? What do I do next? If variable costs are more than 50%, then concentrate on cost management, cost reduction, productivity improvement, all kinds of things, lean and mean manufacturing, all kinds of stuff. But if the performance is, variable costs are less than 50%, have a better salespeople, better marketing effort, better volume increase, etc. And of course, I want you to know two things. Namely, if suppose there are some costs which are mixed costs, then treat it as a variable cost because you are going to do both. The only thing is what do you do first and what do you do next. And that money value of time is more important these days than any other day. So let me summarize this particular segment by the next transparency. I call it as 4M, Bala. Can I go to the next one? Bala's 4M. Measure, monitor, manage, and maximize. If you want to maximize profitability or any value that you want to cherish, even if it's a non-for-profit organization, then you have to manage. And there are so many ways of management. I'm not having time for that, so you can look at it. And now if you want to manage, you cannot simply manage. As Narayana Murthy says, in God we trust, for everything else give me data. So therefore you have to measure both revenues and costs, and also note that at one time it may be less than 50%, another time it may be more than 50%. Then you have to shift the gears. So far you may be doing revenue management because it is all less than 50%. Now suddenly something became more, or the price has become thing, or the cost increased, then it could have gone to more than 50%. Then shift to the cost management. So that is why you have to monitor, to apply the 50% rule and other things. Now the second thing I want to go, can I go back to the very first transparency? Yeah, it's that's one. No, the previous one. Yeah. Now let us talk about I am doing cost management. But there are two customers, C and D. Please note that if I put my time on customer D, I get 45%. If I put my time on customer C in cost reduction, then I get 20%. So which is better? Note that I want to get the maximum cash flow at the earliest time. And that is where your trump card, money value of time, not time value of money. Time value of money is also good, that is more finance. I am an engineer, folks. I do not know whether you know this. I'm a mechanical engineer, at Anna University, and then Ohio State master's degree. And then I went to PhD to do operation research. My thesis at Carnegie Mellon got the #1 in the whole world. Best thesis of 1973. Nobody else after that got it. Before that also got it. So the point is, I am bringing finance and accounting with an engineering or a number twist. So therefore, please note that I want to prioritize. What is the low-hanging fruit to pick? I think the one which has the highest variable cost should be taken first, next highest, third highest, in that order. So how do you pick? And you have to pick one at a time. Which customer you are going to focus? The one with the highest variable cost. And that will give you a much better dividend. Go to the next one. Similarly, in the case of revenue management, start with the lowest variable cost first. Because lowest variable cost will have the highest, more than 50% contribution. So highest variable cost. So lowest variable cost first in revenue management, next lowest, etc. So with these four, that is why I want to monitor. So the next transparency, please. So now let us finish this part. I would like to move on to why customer thing. Can I go to the next one? Now let me go to customer profitability. I'm going to give you a simple example of Procter. I did a lot of work with Procter & Gamble. You might have known a very good friend of mine by name Gurucharan Das. And Procter & Gamble was at one time, I'm talking about 1992, I was consulting for them. And they had all kinds of things. They did very well, but believe it or not, they saw, can I go to the next one? I want you to look at this particular graph. This is a very important performance metric with purpose. Many of us know something called 30-70 rule. We believe 30% of our customers account for 70% of the profit, and vice versa. Have you ever heard 30-70 rule? The best 30% of the customers alone, if they were in Procter & Gamble in 1991 with them, the total profit will be 2.7 times the reported profit. Not 70%, 2.7 times. That means, how did they say? So I am going to rank order the customers one at a time. Suppose I know the customer profitability when you took the company as a clinic. And there you looked at their major customers. And believe it or not, Procter & Gamble had two customers. One is Walmart, another is Kmart. These two together alone, two customers alone, accounted for more than 50% of the total fast-moving consumer product like the Pampers. So I said, two people got 50%. All the others, millions of people are on another 50%. What is happening? So let us focus on the customer, not on the product. Because we can bundle, you can give a product at even a loss, like a bait, and then you can sell more. All kinds of things. Let me not go to that thing right now. But let us measure them. So I took the profit but I not alphabetically ordered. Whoever is the most profitable customer, I put them in the leftmost. And I found out that 30% of the customers had such a huge profit, and the total of them, but note that when I calculate profit, it is not gross profit. It is not revenue minus cost. Revenue minus cost is gross profit, less selling, general and administrative, and all costs to serve the customer, including warranty, accounts receivable, collection, everything. Net profit before taxes. Net gross profit was positive everywhere. We never calculated the customer by customer profit. We calculated profit by period, quarter, month, etc., or by division, by region, etc., but not by customer. Change the whole system to customer profitable. And then rank order. The top 30% cumulative profit, note that the y-axis is cumulative profit. They accounted 250 to 270%. The graph is not completely right. So these customers are your green customers, core customers, giving you all the gain. Then you have a lot of neutral customers. Please note that I'm giving you the data shortly. So the next 40% of the customer neither created nor destroyed value. You need them to take care of excess capacity and fixed costs. And now, and up to the end of the yellow graph, yellow pillar, you had still 260, 270. But when I get to Walmart and others, all right, suddenly the 260 profit goes to much lesser and lesser. And then when I put all of them put together, the last red pillar has exactly 100%. So the cumulative profitability increased significantly, then stayed same, and then started decreasing. Nobody believed that. And then the next question, now let us go back to the real. Can I go to the previous slide? Previous. Let me give you some example. The selling price for Walmart was $3 because you cannot differentiate the price. Kmart also $3. Cost of goods sold for a package of Pamper unit, $2.75 each. And therefore the gross profit is 25. Every customer had a gross profit positive. If that was negative, you could have probably thrown them out. It is not true. But when you take the cost to serve the customer, like selling general investment, which is commingled, and lumped it as a period cost, which is an accounting tyranny, that is 35 cents for Walmart because they want special handling, vendor managed inventory, continuous replenishment, electronic data interchange. Every technology that you believe in have to be paid by, and they had 27 people monitoring all the customers' movement for this 2-day time continuous replenishment. So they were losing 10 cents on a Walmart, whereas they are making 15 cents on a Kmart. Keep that number together for the moment. So the red reason came because of the operating profit was negative, though gross profit was positive. All right, because serving the customer are very different. Some want special handling, special discount, instant gratification, and I am the biggest gorilla, you serve me first. And I want you to think about this stuff. So now we go back to the next thing, and that is how I got that thing. Please go to the next transparency, Kalai. The next one. All right. Now, no, the previous one. So now who are the green customers? They are the people who are green. They are the people who are core. They are your true assets, and you want to astonish them. God bless you. You will get rewards. And finally, they are your total assets. I call them as customers. Now go to the red customers. Who are they? They are not giving you gain. They are giving you pain. They are not core. They are bored. They are not customers. They are customers. They are not assets. T is silent. Do you know the difference between an asset and an asset? Ass. Some is a jackass. Why Walmart was considered to be a jackass? Because they wanted vendor managed inventory. Now they want RFID. All the problems post-manufacturing are taken by the producer, Procter & Gamble. Walmart doesn't know. Walmart orders 100,000 units. These fellows orders every store, you go and drop the thing and stack it in the shelf. So if you calculate the cost to serve, believe it or not, it is even more than the cost of manufacturing. That is this VUCA world. So serving the customer is going to be a tremendous problem from manufacturing cost. So now fortunately India can serve the customers much better because the human cost is little less compared to either Europe or US. And that is your trump card, not the other trump. All right, let them worry about it. So why not we take advantage of that? All right, create some relationship with some company in Europe, US, Australia, etc., New Zealand, and you are going to get a ton of rewards. All right, so now the question is, Bob Kaplan, who is a cost big deal, said that if you find a red customer, fire them. If you are a Ahimsa Murthy and so don't want to fire them or shoot them, recommend them to your competition. Wait a minute. This is a very myopic thing. Imagine you recommended Walmart because it's a pain in your whatever part of the anatomy, all right, to Kimberly Clark. Guess what? You are a loser. Why instantaneously you get 20, they were 27% of the market share. Walmart was 27, Kmart was 23. That's where the 50 came. So if you lose them, you get 27% of the fixed cost idle capacity. Capacity cost can be amazingly haunting. And that means your per unit cost is going to skyrocket because somebody is dividing a fixed cost by some number, which is wrong. And now the question is, what do I do? Now you have to make an unprofitable customer profitable. So I now notice he's a red customer. And guess what? 2 years later, Kmart benchmarked with Walmart. And they said, wait a minute, I am 23%. You better do the same thing that you have done to Walmart. I am no more, even though in Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise movie, Rain Man, says Kmart sucks, no more. I am creating Big K. I am doing now RFID also. So whatever you are, you are doing to them, you do it to me. So the green customer is moving to the red, and now you are worried like anything. So how do you make profitable? That means you have to create a win-win scenario. I'm not going to go through this stuff because there are a lot of confidential matter, but I will tell you, I put that this thing, somebody has to be monitored, somebody has to be replaced, and this 2x2 matrix like a BCG matrix, very important. I do not want to go because of time. Now let me go to the next thing, this point I want to talk. So now the question is, instead of looking at you as alone, create a strategic alliance in a virtual basis. COVID will give you every virtual treatment possible. So let us say the middle diamond is Procter & Gamble. The fifth diamond is Walmart. The first diamond is the supplier to Procter & Gamble of raw materials. Now the question is, if you create a supply-demand value chain, and just let me take, so the profit of the producer Procter & Gamble is P3, third number, and profit of Walmart is P5. Let us take only these two. We don't have time. So P3 plus P5 is the total profit as a virtual allied company, not merger and acquisition. Now, how do I make both of them better? So if you raise the price because you are asking all these things, Procter & Gamble asked them. Walmart said, get lost. You have to do all these services. Then only I will be your preferred vendor and preferred customer. All right. So what did we do? So when they did the customer replenishment, the trucks were going from Cincinnati, let us say some production area or a warehouse. From that warehouse to different customers, they shipped it by trucks. Now the truck leaves around 8 o'clock and it has to come back to Cincinnati at 5 o'clock, let us say. And all kinds of things up to Dayton and whatnot, they were supplying and come back. Why come back? Otherwise we have to pay the BADA and the hotel charges and lots of things. So the trucks come empty. Now when the trucks come empty, these people, Procter & Gamble said, look, you are hiring some trucking agent to deliver the goods of Walmart purchase, not our goods, to deliver any goods. On the way back, your customers are there to whom you have to drop. We will be your trucking agent. So give me that business to us. And guess what? I don't want to know how much money you are paying them. You pay us 75% of that. We are now partners. You need me, I need you. All right. So therefore, suddenly they were willing to do that. Why? Because their costs went down. Walmart costs went down. So the P5 became P5 plus. And similarly, P3 is now doing a business of transportation also. Custom created because of the strategic advantage of capacity fixed costs available. So their P3 became P3 plus. So by one action, one reduced the cost, another increased the revenue, and both are better off by creating this kind of what is called as an efficient consumer response in the supply-demand value chain and create strategic alliances. So folks, there are many other things if you put things, and that is where a consultant or a mentor comes in, and some of them are confidential, I cannot say. So with the value chain to value hub, when you do that, you have all the kind of various things. It is no more a video tape, it is a video disc. So if you look at north to south, you have the supply chain management between P1 and P3, or company 1 and company 3, vendor and producer. And then from producer to the customer, company number 3 to company number 5, you have all the customer relationship management, software and data, and you can optimize that. But in addition to that, you can also optimize with your other kinds of strategic alliance partners and e-procurement application, MRO suppliers, and also different type of contractors. For example, I did a lot of work with Aditya Birla Group. So we not only worry about the cements, but also cement products. And notice that it is the engineers recommended, not the dealer recommended, not the customer recommended. So there are different ways you can do the marketing, and you can have all kinds of, for example, in Madras, for example, if any one of you want to have your daughter or son married, you have to get a hall, and you have to go to the chief minister for that. All right, but once you get the hall, believe it or not, 10 to 15 people will call you. Sir, I am supplying the water. That is the best company. I am doing the catering. I am Chelapa. Arasuya Natarajan is not that good because I am Chelapa and I have a lot of money. And you are from the daughter side. You may have to have a dowry. I will not charge you for 3 years. So this guy is more worried about my cash flow. So this is called mega marriage market. Everybody cross-reference, everybody makes the money. So that is what I am talking about, the value hub. So by creating virtual strategic alliances, referrals, cross-referrals, and each one getting a money in the total, you enlarge the pie and not worry about divvying up the pie. So that is what I want to do. Now let me go to the last 2 points which I want to do. How do we do that? Given that we have, I can talk about other performance metrics. I think everyone at this stage, especially after COVID, you are going to see a lot of difficulty in manpower. Companies are going to collapse. You might have seen that Kevin Klein, Kevin Care, Ranganathan is now taking all his fixed assets, buildings, and try to make the people working from their home and meeting in some kind of a hotel. So the question is, there will be a shrinking correctly because of COVID and post-COVID. And now if you are going to be suddenly asked to take off or get a pay cut and your costs are there in the family, what are you going to do? I do believe all of us have to create a little partnership or single proprietorship and become an entrepreneur. And then cultivate a new idea, cultivate a new product, cultivate a new service, and then don't take too much of rest, and you can work from the home. It definitely makes you more happy, and you can be there and at the same time make some more positive cash flow. So sometimes you are laid off and frustrated, you are necessarily have to become an entrepreneur, or you have to be retired. So what is the entrepreneurs cannot succeed if you do not know management and implication. First thing that you have to know is the cash burning rate. Cash flow will be a much better superior performance than either balance sheet or income statement or anything like that. Cash in, cash flow, Birla accounting is a much superior accounting than any well-planned big software and whatnot. The difference between success and failure is only the size and scale. You have to make it nimble, flexible, agile, and actually you have to make your products affordable, clearly, accessible, and available. And then these are the 3 A's, just like in the beginning, Raj showed a 3-point. So dream big but start small. When I started Great Lakes, I didn't have money. All money that were used were completely my own. I never borrowed from anybody. I never got any partner, nothing. So therefore, obviously, I leased a building in Saidapet in Srinagar colony, less than 1 acre. Now, not only we have completely paid 32-acre platinum rated green campus in Chennai, we bought our campus in Gurgaon area also. I have a Great Lakes Institute of Management in Gurgaon or near Gurgaon, about 10 acres and the whole building, everything paid cash. Now we are going to do something in Bombay. How can a person with a quintuple bypass surgery who was already half dead, I said I am addressing people who are newlywed and nearly dead simultaneously. All right, so how do we do that? So the best thing is think big, start small, and dream big, implement fast. Any vision, great vision, without implementation is nothing but hallucination. Again, uncertainties are inevitable, but worrying is optional. Planning is paramount, and panicking is pathetic. So plan well, start small, and dream big. And then the difference, and also think cash flows and not net income. And not only that, any time that you spend, the most important resource is the people's time. Any time can be abused. So if you are serving an ass and not an asset, you are losing money, losing cash flow. So therefore, think about that. Not all customers are customers. Some are them customers. So measure, monitor, manage, and maximize. Think brave, be bold, take unexpected risk, but plan the risk. Risk mitigation is extremely important. Our AGBI incubator has been awarded first. So Raj is actually Raj, Sridhar, and others are all mentors. So we can do, believe it or not, this is the first school in the entire world where we are not only graduating MBA graduates, but also startups. 5 companies are going to be graduating. Company number 1, Whistle Drive in Hyderabad. They got $10 million investment available. And similarly, Atsuya and the villages and whatnot. All of them are our graduates, and they are doing very well. So 5 companies, Atsuya, Whistle Drive, Smarteries, Smart Factory, and then Tirupur, new kind of vests and other kinds of undergarments manufacturers are all going to graduate. All right. So please take advantage of our incubator. Take advantage of the mentors that you have in Business Clinic or advisors. Take advantage of people and take advantage of the COVID and the Zoom and other kinds of technology. So with a good technology appropriately deployed and leasing anything rather than buying, you are going to have tremendous amount of cash flow, a net, which can be, once you become sufficiently rich, until that time you have to be nimble, agile, and flexible. But once you are really well off, then the different ball game, and that we will not worry about it now. So I am so glad that I have taken that 45 minutes time, and now I would like to open up for any questions, and I think either Raj or Ram can moderate. Tell me the question, and I'm not going to read it, and then I will answer it right away.
Sure, thank
and
you.
Again, I have to leave in about 25 minutes.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you very much
for that talk. Thank you so much. I request everyone in the call to kindly enter your questions in the chat box, or you can even unmute yourself and ask. The first question is Dr. Bala from Mr. Chand Das. So he's asking if you can comment on the valuation game and the quest for the unicorn ship.
See, actually, the best thing is to do the following. Go to YouTube and put the name Ashwath Damodaran. The best valuation book. See, even Kotler wrote a book called Marketing Management by Kotler, whereas Damodaran book is very different. Damodaran on valuation. He put himself first, then the topic. And he has about four pieces of about 40 minutes video tape or video available in the YouTube free. Read that. That one of them is for startups and small valuation, etc. Well, I think I can give a complete lecture. I am the only person who has, even when the problem between Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani came, and Kamath took the responsibility of who owns what. Nobody knows how much, it's like a Keritsu. I own A 30%, B, and then the B owns C, and then C owns A. So it's a sort of a matrix kind of a thing, which is a non-linear, which is not only non-linear, but also not a square matrix. So there is no, you cannot invert the matrix. Once you invert the matrix, simultaneous equation, any unknowns, any variables can be solved. But if it is not that, nobody can solve. So I solve that. For example, what is the market share? I'm sorry, what is the ownership of each one? And there is something called in mathematics, generalized Moore-Penrose inverse. I don't want to go through the technique. All I need to know is where do I put the money and where do I get the Coke in a box. That's all you want. So go to these four tapes in a sequential way, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you will see that, and one of them is only for that. But in my opinion, the way I will do my evaluation is some sort of a back of the envelope to start with, because it's a small company, by multiples. What are the relative kind of things like that? What kind of multiples they have. I know the one of the thing price, therefore what is the price that I can pay. But the key point is the value that the valuation equation that Ashwatthama or any book gives is not the price you are paying. So let us assume let us take, for example, Ratan Tata wants to buy this Jaguar, all right? And I did the valuation for them, advised them, and it came to about 1.8 to 1.9 billion dollars, all right? Then suddenly Anand Mahindra came in, all right? Then he raised the price. So then he wanted to somehow buy that. So he ended up paying what is valued at less than 1.6 with synergy, 1.9, and then that's it. But he paid 2.2. So now if 2.2 is the left-hand side, and I have right-hand side with many variables, and I have to solve, and I have only one equation, how do I solve? No. So therefore I created a way, I will send that article also, create a threshold margin for shareholder value, published in Journal of Finance. Anyway, so what happened was, so now 0.3 billion was given as a premium or whatever it is, or bullshit or waste of money. And everybody predicted we are going to lose. But Ratan Tata had a sort of a personal variable. He wanted to buy that because some Britishers insulted some of his ancestors, let us say. It is not a rational thinking. But he bought it. Now the question is, what is the profit margin that justifies the extra 0.3 billion? What is the market share you have to justify that? Nobody can solve that. It is an inverse. If y equal to e to the power of x is equal to log y, I know. Or 3x plus 2y is something, two equation I can solve. But this I cannot solve. So I have to come up with another way of isoquants. I cannot explain that now. So we can solve that thing. So for example, anytime you have, what is the absolute base price standalone? What is the liquidation valuation? What is the standalone valuation? What is the valuation if one person wants it? What is the valuation 2% want to bid on it and each one increases the price? All of them we can sequentially plan. And then the question is, if notice generally the value of the buyer is going to go down, value of the seller is going to go up. And that is where the in-between. And in between you will have some kind of a consultant investment banker. The investment banker gets only, let us say, $7,000 per day for their time. All right. But if the deal goes through, they get $500,000, $1 million. So therefore their bet is to somehow deal has to go through. So they will come up with all kinds of strange mathematics and whatnot and make you fool. And you act as a CEO, yeah, I think it makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but you are nodding because you are not going to be there. You are going to retire soon. The next guy is going to pay the price. All right, so how do you make a discipline that if you are going to run the acquired company, still how can you create the value for the shareholders? There is a mezzanine period, yes, it goes on now, but the steady state, So this thing is a complicated way, but I think these four things will give you, and Ashwath Daman is a very close friend of mine, and he comes quite often to India, but I think the answer is right there, not in the book. These four valuation techniques. The valuation technique I prefer is to have the discounted cash flow of the next 5 years. And then after the 5 year, I call it as a perpetuity. And then take the total discounted value. And if that value is approximately, if the stock price exists, is the total weighted average shares multiplied the stock price, then you have faith in the parameters you assume and the model you assume. Then you can look at all kinds of scenario planning. So that is how I do that kind of question. But it is a tough question, but it's an interesting question. I need 1 hour to answer that. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was really helpful. Mr. Varindra Sevak has a question. He's asking, every country has to push the economy by investing in infrastructure and a few other sectors. In your view, what should be the areas to drive?
Should be the areas to?
Yeah, what are the areas in which countries should invest, or what are the areas to be driven? It says every country has to push the economy by investing in infrastructure and other sectors.
I get it. I think, infrastructure is very, very important. And investing in infrastructure is important. But investing in infrastructure will solve all the problems is not, I am not agreeing with that. Infrastructure is one of the variables. In some variable, for example, even in the cost management, I may increase the cost in strategically important areas, increase the cost, but the total cost decreases. So when I say cost management, it is not cutting the cost everywhere, no. So like that, there are some strategically important areas, including infrastructure, is an area where you have to invest. But investing infrastructure into irrelevant areas where some other better opportunity is there. So somehow we have to understand who is the recipient. As a country, yes, the people. For example, I do not know how many of you have visited Houston. The Houston deliberately did not put too much of trains and public transportation, which are relatively cheaper, because they know unfortunately, I'm going to say this thing, I'm not racist. They know the Mexicans are going to use those things. So they deliberately planned huge skyscrapers, and all the roads are above the ground. So if you are forced to have a car, and who has the car? Essentially the so-called rich people, let us say. So now note that they invested in huge infrastructure. No sane person will put so much of them in those highways which they put. You won't believe the amount of money that has been probably wasted. Why? They thought they are going to serve only a limited group of people, and they do not want to serve another group of people who are there, and this kind of things. So I really feel you have to understand who is your targeted customer, who is the targeted customer segment, and which customer segment in an inclusive society has to be supported, and therefore what kind of a appropriate infrastructure that is needed, and then invest. I will agree with that. And then the drivers is essentially in many of the infrastructure, fortunately, technology can do that. For example, there is a guy by name, he was one of the graduate speaker, is from Abu Dhabi, Dubai area, and he can build a hospital including the operating room with the materials placed completely by technology with very minimum. So about 200-bed hospital can be constructed in less than 2 months. And it's all planned and whatnot, and the machines operate, and that has been done in Krishnagiri, operated by him. This guy is a very close friend of mine, and I forgot his name right now. He's a Muslim gentleman from Kerala. I will get what is that company name? I will send it to Raj, his name and whatnot. You know, I have his card. This guy has done perfect the art of building thing. Similarly, there is also a videotape. You can see that how to build a 3-bedroom house from the start to finish in the minimum amount of time. Okay, Guinness Book of Records. Can anybody guess what is the minimum amount of time starting from the foundation? All right, they did it in 2.6 hours. The whole house, 3-bedroom, there is a videotape, building a house in 4 hours in San Diego. Look at that. So now the technology and determination and the implementation of an infrastructure at an affordable cost has come. If that is the case, that will be a much better idea. I think the drivers are costs, drivers are human being, and drivers are technology. If you combine them judiciously, you can do it at any time. As a matter of fact, there are some remarkable infrastructure building at affordable. For example, there is a whole infrastructure. I was also involved in that, from Shanghai to the port. All right, 4-lane on either way highway, in between the 2-lane railroad, no bridge, and the longest bridge in the world is in that. It is much more and much bigger than the San Diego Bridge. And they finished the whole deal in China at less than the total budgeted cost. Instead of 3 years, they did it in 2.5 years, and at 70% of the cost. Fortunately, that was a communist country, and so anybody on the way, they said, get out, that's all. And you move there, and there is no other choice. That may not happen in India, but we can still do that. You know, for example, that I think this person, Sridhar, who did the train transportation in Delhi, did it at a remarkable time and remarkable achievement of budget. He did not exceed the budget, he did not exceed the time, and did a phenomenal job. So there are people who can do in India, and the question is, how do I do it? I think that's exactly what I will say.
Thank you, Professor.
Dr. Bala, were you referring to Mr. Faisal, who was constructed
Faisal Kotikolon. Faisal Kotikolon. Thank you. Faisal is a very close friend of mine. Exactly. Faisal is the guy.
Thank you, Mr. Jayadev.
He lives in Sharjah in a beautiful home. You know, anybody, if you visit his home itself, is a big deal. Like a 4-acre home with 80 people working full-time inside the home. And he has a James Bond car also. He can make his car a complete office by pressing one button. The desk comes, the computer comes, every damn thing comes in the same car. Yeah, go ahead.
Professor, there are a couple of questions on Indian economy.
Okay.
A question from Mr. Darwin and from Mr. Choranachar from Tamil Chamber of Commerce. So they're asking, can you please comment on the existing economic conditions prevailing in India and your take on how will it pan up in the future, say by 2025?
You know one thing, you are hitting a important question where I am personally involved with some people. I like Nirmala Sitaram to start with. I know her well. In a way, she is related to me. Number two, that Subbu, who is our advisor, coming from ISB, is a good guy. But, you know, I do not know why. India has been cursed by somebody. I do not know who it is. If I get that guy, I will shoot the person. You move forward 2 steps, then we go back 4 steps. And you leave the country, you are all right. You come back to the country, you are stuck. I don't know whether it is the mud or something. India's economy is in deep trouble. You know, at one time, Subbu came, I think if it is November, September 22nd to Kellogg with Bhagwan Chaudhary and a few others. I started the whole school. So I invited them and whatnot. Kellogg is involved. And he talked about Modi's plan for 5 trillion in 5 years. Right at that time said, you got to be kidding. Subbu, I know you. You are Raghuram Rajan. Raghu is a close friend of mine, the former governor of Reserve Bank of India. And Subbu is a phenomenal guy. You know it is impossible. You know, it is something like, you know, when there was Arthur Anderson did equity finance, some insurance company. The number of policy holders is bigger than the total population of the United States. How can an auditor not know that? If one company, which is one of the 10 major insurance companies, says we have policies for more than the damn population of the United States, that is wrong. Somebody is doing a fraud. The company went bankrupt, you know. It is called some insurance company, Cleveland. Anyway, Ernst & Young was the auditor. So the question is, there are certain things are impossible. You know, can I have a growth rate of 12%? So I always believe in inverse function. If you say some number, then I would come up with what should be the growth rate or per capita income that needs to be there to justify that number in 3 years, 5 years. It is not possible. And you know it, and I know any math, and Subbu knows it. But at the same time, he cannot let down Modi and his statement, or even Nirmala Sitaraman. So everybody goes, you know, it is something like everybody says you are carrying a pig's calf and not a real calf, and 5 robbers in 5 different stages said that thing, and finally he thought he must be having a pig, so he threw it off. So like that, you know, we are now making statements of impossible things. So I really feel that we are going to have deeper trouble, and India's economy is in relatively worse shape than definitely China. And unfortunately, we cannot do some things that China does because they have a Politburo, almost dictatorial country. So we have a democracy, and in this democracy, we have tremendous amount of irresponsible citizens who can loot, burn, things like that. I am not going to predict anything at all, excepting let us make a micro economy, your family, your immediate family. That you can do better. That is controllable by you. This is controllable by God only, not by Nirmala Sitaraman or Modi, or of course, leave alone Rahul or anybody else. If this government cannot do it, nobody else can do it. And I think we are in a relatively safer hands, but we have a tremendous handicap. And we have to get out of the handicap and move up. And even though, you know, Subramanian Swami is a close friend of mine, he came to Chicago and myself, my home, and I support him. He talks a lot, but you ask him to do things, he will not do it. Talk is cheap. Ask him to walk the talk. No. All right. I honestly, this is one place I will be clearly saying it's a very good question. That means I have no answer to that. I want you to feel good, whoever asked that question. I am scared like hell, I can tell you right now. But I am not scared with my family. So this is what I am doing, even in US, for example. You know, I have 2 sons, both of them, one guy is a fantastic doctor. And you know, you do not know whether you will be existing. Everybody has a gun also. Suppose you have your family is starving, your house is out, and your children are struggling, and you cannot survive, what do? You shoot them and you shoot yourself. But before that, they will shoot randomly at least 25 people, depending upon the party you are belonging to. Regardless of the party, hum sab chor hai, that's it. Everybody is horrible, no matter what. I honestly, I do not know the answer. It is going to be bleak. And if we move forward, something else comes in. How many of us ever expected COVID? It was man-made, not that. Because in a war on biological warfare between 4 countries, something happened. I do not want to discuss anything more. Being arrested by somebody.
Professor, we are conscious that it's nearing the time when you said you have to leave. So, do you have some more time, or should we?
I think no, I have some more time. 10:20, I have to leave.
Okay.
I'm not leaving. I have a medical appointment. My cardiologist has to do certain things. So around another, I have another 7, 8 more minutes.
Sure.
Maybe one or two questions.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Professor, there's a question.
Again, note that we are not. This is not an event. This is a journey. I am very close to Raj Shekhar and of course you and several others whom I met before also.
Yeah.
So I'm not going out, and we can have another session 3-4 months later.
Sure. Great. Thank you.
On something else. How do I manage fixed costs? And I will talk about some other measures.
Yeah.
You know, so again, more technology. Let us talk about even business analytics.
Sure.
Yeah,
Professor,
go
the
ahead.
question from Mr. Vasant is asking, given COVID and the new normal, what do you see as the future of higher education and especially management education? Because you are a visionary in this field.
So this question I can answer beyond any educator think. I am positive the following will happen. The undergraduate program in US is a 4-year program. They will become 3-year programs. I can tell you right now. So why do you waste 4 years? Yes, of course, more and more you drill yourself, you are going to become better. But practice is more important than theory. So I would rather like to graduate the undergraduates in 3 years. So I'm talking about undergraduate. But I am positive, actually in Great Lakes we have 3 units if you go to our website. One is Great Lake Chennai and all those things. Another is Great Lakes Gurgaon, second middle. The third thing is called GLOW, Great Lakes Online Worldwide. Great Lakes Online Worldwide. I think the entire higher education, especially non-lab kind of things, will have tremendous amount of blended learning, with which you can probably use and invite even Indians outside the world. I'm sorry, outside India, in the world. All right. So for example, I brought about 12 faculty from everywhere. The top 2 in Harvard, top 2 in Chicago, Kellogg, Stanford, whatever. And I did not pay them 1 penny. Of course, they are my friends. All right. So Indra Nui or whatnot. So I have a feeling that any higher education, there are certain courses are very amenable to online discussion and more effective. Please note that. The online class will be more effective because you have not only a videotape, you can keep on reading it, going back, and you can take the notes, and you can make some top-notch professors of the world available to Chennai or someplace like that, let us say. So therefore, but there are certain things where you have to be brick and mortar, like a lab or something where you have to touch and feel and things like that. So I think blended learning will be the case. And also the second thing is the continuous learning. The learning will never be stopping. Even though if you learn, you refresh yourself with the latest technology. Even though you graduated, say 15 years back before in ISB, what you may like to know certain things on artificial intelligence or deep learning. I am writing a book on blockchain. This blockchain will make a revolution in the area of auditing and things like that. For example, I can have not only the transaction financially, I can have the non-financial transfer information also there with the 2 parties. One may be from India, another may be from Israel or some other place where there is a inflation rate is much higher. So I will have all the information of a transaction. I have called 7 T's, transparency, trust, truth, all kinds of things, but at the same time, transactions, traceability, tractability. So how do I do all of them? So now the higher education is going to have, and believe it or not, 3 years back when I was 80 or 79, I do not know what is meant by blockchain. I thought it is some kind of a chain with the gold or something like that, Now I gave a talk to the blockchain experts. So you are going to become an expert even in 3-4 years on totally new thing. Just like Ratan Tata investing only in IT and other kinds of technology industries and not brick and mortar. But that doesn't mean brick and mortar is useless. Please note that brick and mortar is needed. So I think it is a blended and what to each course, what percentage will be online, what percentage may be offline, and you need both of them, and you will avoid a lot of things, and the learning can happen from anywhere. It is not, we call it as choose, customized, hybrid, open, online courses and evaluation. And not only that, suppose you want to graduate so that you get a minimum C, but you want to be an expert. So you can drill the same thing where the time is indefinite, but the objective is definite. Right now, our systems are, objectives are not definite, time is definite. 3 years, 4 years, 1 year, 2 years, and you get a C or you get an A. But I want to have only an A, let us say. Then it may take time, So we can have double type of degrees, or a person gets definitely all the required qualification, so he graduates. But not necessarily. Can you take your head for a brain surgery through a guy who barely passed C and got an experience of less than 2 years? I won't go. I won't show my head. I want somebody with an experience and who may be an A grade, not a C grade guy.
Yeah.
So things like that. So I think this will be the post-COVID environment. And the best thing you can do is I can send it to you. Vijay Govindarajan has done an 8 minutes video tape. It may be there in the YouTube. If not, I will send it to you, or ask Pratima. She will send it to you. He has done that. And he says how the future COVID higher education will be.
Sure.
But I'm not saying his points. That will be not, you will see some more information.
That was very, very helpful, Professor. There is a question from Mr. Prashant Srivastav. He's asking, with a lot of startups mushrooming, what should they do? What should startups do to survive and thrive? And he's saying, can there be an ideal situation where all the startups can succeed, and how would that happen? If so?
This is what I did. People didn't, that's why we got an A. See, the startups success rate is 10% or less. I want startup success rate is 90% or more. Right there, I am different. I always say, yes, I am different, and thus I make a difference, and now I deliver the difference. So that is what we did. I have a gate. I will not take people who are not well thought of. They want to have a startup because that's what everybody is saying. My neighbor is saying, my wife is saying, my husband is saying. No, I will evaluate that because I money value of time. I have limited resources, and if I spend my time on some people who are bound to fail with more than 50%, how do I take it? Eliminate that, or recommend them to my competition. That's it. I don't want to kill anybody. Recommend them to your competition, or I let them have the problem. So I think I have a very nice model. Again, Pratima can do. I think Raj has a copy of that. A star is born. How do you do a startup? What are the things do you need? How do you mitigate that risk? So I have a 6G model. Gate, guide. Sridhar also knows that. So you take that thing, and that is what is the answer. But the most important point I want to know, don't think about the net income and other. Cash flow is very important. And the burn rate is very high. So if you do not have something, and therefore you want to, unless you are rich and sufficient money, don't start alone. Have at least 2-3 people, 3 people complementing and supplementing skill. So right there you are diversifying the risk. And then everybody need not lose a job. One person may take a little more time. The others are there to provide. And then as and when the startup becomes really profitable and really working, you take more people. And the best thing is to do parallel processing. Don't do the startup alone, and that is the only thing, unless there is nothing else is possible for you. Nothing else is there. And secondly, analyze through your brain, but not decide by the brain. Decide by your heart. Your heart will say something. This is not my cup of tea. Yes, the other guy did it. If you try to follow or copy somebody, that will be a disaster. You create your own trail, your own motto, your own value, your own thing, because no five fingers are equal. So therefore, you have to do that. And so assume that the first 2 years is going to be a disaster. Are you willing to take the risk of putting all the jewelries of your spouse or your child's education into risk? You are going to take a risk. If not, at least you need to have 2-3 people. I was fortunately, you know that I came to this country in 1967. I have taught 60 years, twice your age probably.
Yeah.
All right. But I made some money all over the world. So I decided, what am I going to do with the money which I have? Because when I go, all of us will have only one name. First name dead, last name body. Not even my name. So, but I can leave a legacy. If that's successful, then everybody is going to benefit. Now we are having 200 people working full time. And I was struggling for one meal at one time. All right. So why not do that? So I think the entrepreneurship will give you immense and intense satisfaction. But you've got to be extremely careful and not, you've got to analyze with your brain and do all the things. Finally decide by your heart, and then you are going to succeed. And keep monitoring, and you have to have a mentor, because that mentor with their experience, because we are biased by our own likes and dislikes. So sometimes our likes and dislikes may be hurting, and somebody has to tell that. Who is confidently telling that? Who has an interest in you and not to make sure you fail. Any other question? One last question.
There are actually,
I'm done.
I think
my time is over.
Yeah.
I have to go on this.
Yes, doctor. So thank you so much for patiently answering all our questions. We really look forward to having you once more here for another enlightening talk. I would request Mr. Rajshekharan to kindly.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I'm sure everybody enjoyed the interactions, and we learned a lot today. Looking forward to meeting you very, very soon again. Anybody else would like to say anything to Doctor, Professor? Then we can wind up.
Thank you very much, Raj.
We're getting a lot of thank you messages.
And thanks to everyone in the audience. And I am so pleased. And I know that you have much more serious work and other things. I think we need to keep on. I always say 3 stages of learn like anything. Every time, not only at the graduate classes and whatnot, beyond, through moves. And then earn like anything. Because if you don't earn, thieves, thugs, and terrorists will earn. And that is disaster. You don't want that. So making money is a good thing. Otherwise, you are a sinner. Being materialistic is not anti-spiritual. Make the maximum money honestly, ethically. And then earn to return. OEAR. Aram seya virumbu. Not say mattum. That means you have to earn to return, because you cannot take it with you. And that is the best thing. That's what I am doing all this greatly. And Kalvi Dhanam is the only thing I know.
Thank you.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for attending the session today.